Hi, this is Mrs. Chang, and this video is going over the assignment that I've handed to you. You have until Monday to hand it in, so you can take your time on it and work at your own pace. But I'm going to walk you through the assignment and let you know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how you should do it. So first thing first is this is an article from the Toronto Star. Okay, if you would like me to read the article with you and walk through the steps that I use when I'm reading, similar to the earthquake article, I will post a second video that is me reading the article and giving some more hints and advice for students who need that extra support. If you don't need it, feel free to go ahead and do the assignment right after this instruction video. Okay. So also note that I have modified this article. So if you look for the original article, it is much longer. I've modified it for vocabulary because I want to make sure everyone can understand most of the words, and I've also cut out any information that was excessive and not needed. Okay, so this way it is to help you be successful in the course. You'll see that the article is only 2 pages long, and the rest of the activity is just a place for you to do the assignment. Okay. So once you finish reading the article, what you're going to do is we have, this is officially getting marked. So you'll see here you're getting 8 marks this time for knowledge and understanding, okay? And what that means is these are types of questions that are directly stated in the article, okay? You don't need to use any additional information. You don't have to really create your own ideas. You're looking for the answers in the article. So I'm asking, why are the Toronto Islands at risk of flooding this year? Okay, what are at least 3 different suggestions that may stop the flooding or reduce, that means minimize how much damage that the flood is causing? Other than homes and property being destroyed, why are people living on the Toronto Islands so worried about the flooding? So if you write an answer here and just say, oh, people's houses will get ruined or their cars will get ruined because of the flood, you're not going to get any marks because the question says I want you to look a little bit deeper in the article and see if there's other concerns people have. In the article itself, explain the meaning of at least 2 words you don't know and use the comment feature to do this. Okay, so this is why it's knowledge and understanding. It's because I want to see if you can improve your vocabulary as we're working on our reading skills. And remember, a reminder, in order to do this, if you want to make a definition or a comment, what you do is you highlight the word. So let's say I'm not 100% sure what the word residence means. Okay, if I'm not sure, I can highlight this, right click my mouse, or if you notice there's a little plus sign on the side. Okay, so again, I'm highlighting, right click, and there should be a comment feature here, or sometimes it's right on the side already, and it will let me type in my definition. Okay. If I want to, I can open up another site on my internet and look up a definition that's in an easy to understand way. I can put the idea into my own words, which is what I prefer. Or remember, we do have a tool on Google Docs that is a dictionary. So I can look here. It's a person who lives somewhere permanently or on a long-term basis. So I can directly copy this idea here. But I'm going to make sure that I understand what those words mean. So the word permanently is still kind of a big word for some students. So a person who lives somewhere all the time, who lives in the same place for a long term. That is a very simple definition. I mean, most students would be able to understand that, right? So a person who lives in the same place for a long time. Okay, that is a definition that I would say, yes, this student has changed it into his or her own words. There's definitely not just copying without thinking. Okay, so that's the knowledge and understanding part. The thinking and inquiry mark, you're getting 4 marks for this section. Okay, is you are creating, oh sorry, this is 4 marks. Okay, you are creating 2 questions that are higher order thinking questions. So here's a quick little mini lesson on what that means. Not all questions are created equal, right? So sometimes people will ask you a question that is directly from the article. or it's just asking you to define something or identify something, or summarize something, that just is looking at if you understand what was told to you. Okay. When we do thinking and inquiry, we're going beyond just the understanding and remembering part, and we're looking at how do we take the information we just learned and then apply it, connect it to things that are beyond that particular article, beyond that. So geography, as I told you guys, is about connecting everything in the world together. Science, math, history, nature, weather, everything is connected because it's all kind of part of Earth's systems. So in geography, we're always asking questions such as, how do I apply this in a new but similar idea? How can I examine it? So I'm looking at it in a different perspective, looking at it through somebody else who might see a problem with it. How am I comparing it or contrasting it to other places in Canada, maybe even other places in the world? How am I judging it? So is this a good idea? Is there another suggestion I can say? Maybe I know something else that's happening and I want to say, why doesn't Toronto try this because I know this city or this country is using this idea? Or maybe you think the idea is really good. And then last part of it is when we do learn about things, what we hope students do with it is they build and design and invent and produce things that are new, right? Because we're always looking to add more knowledge. So that's called Bloom's taxonomy. You don't need to know that, but it's just pretty much about how we create questions. So they're not just, find the answer in the article. Now, to help you with that, I've made it really clear here. If you want to get the full 4 marks for creating 2 questions, you have to make sure that your question is not based on facts you remember from this course, okay, or that you just read about in this actual article, okay? If you want the full marks, it has to make connections that go beyond this article. So what would that look like? Okay, let's use the example from the earthquake sensor. Okay, I've talked about how some of the students' questions were really good. An example of a really good question was, why are the sensors located underwater? Why are the sensors, these earthquake warnings systems, located underwater sometimes? Okay, I like that question because it's applying it beyond the article. The article doesn't talk about why they're underwater. So if that student wrote that question down, I would consider that a higher order thinking question because it's not directly stated in the article and we haven't yet discussed it in the course. But if the student said, for example, are these underwater? Can we find these sensors underwater? Is that a higher order thinking question? No. In fact, that's not a good question at all because it's already stated in the article. It says right here, there's a set of underwater earthquake sensors. So by asking that question after reading the article, you're showing me you didn't understand the article. So I'm not going to give you any marks for your thinking about the article. Does that make sense? So again, you're just checking that you're asking questions that are not already answered within the article. Okay? And if you can do that, just 2 questions, you'll get 4 marks for that. Okay? That's pretty much it. If you have other questions that you want to also list here, you can get some bonus marks. So feel free to list other questions as well. And then once you are finished this, you can just hand it directly into the Google Classroom, click submit. You do not need to make a copy of this because I have sent each student their own copy. Thanks for listening and looking forward to this being handed in by Monday morning.